who knew China would grow into a superpower? To counter that, Japan is bolstering military forces for the first time since World War II. Everyone is designing brand new aircraft carriers to fill the world's skies with heavily armed fighter jets. But what is the future of aircraft carriers? Let's dive in and take a look. Japan's plans, which are soon to launch, will see them modernize 2 helicopter destroyers into something of a de facto aircraft carrier. This will see the number of carrier operators in the Asia-Pacific area grow. Historically speaking, Japan's Imperial Navy placed a significant emphasis on aircraft carriers, and the Hosho, the first purpose-built aircraft carrier in the world, is even Japanese in origin and commissioned on December 27, 1922. During the Battle of Midway in June 1942, Japan were the proud owners of the largest aircraft carrier fleet on the planet. As you might have guessed, this isn't exactly the case anymore. The war did not go well for Japan. At the end of the war, most Japanese carriers had sunk, mainly due to attacks from the US Navy. Once the war had come to its messy end, the few remaining carriers were dismantled, with Japan entering a significant period of disarmament. They even adopted a constitution in 1947 that went so far as to forbid the maintenance of forces that could wage war. Peace, man. There were certain exceptions, for example, during the Cold War and the Korean War. Military capabilities were rebuilt for the purpose of self-defense with US support. But, for the most part, peace and prosperity reigned. But in recent times, Japan's closest neighbors have been acquiring carriers, and this seems to have troubled Japan. China has been building a whole fleet. More on that later. While South Korea is currently planning its first foray into the field. Because of this, the aforementioned part of Japan's constitution has shifted somewhat under the Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. While Japan still won't technically have carriers, it will have multi-purpose operation destroyers. What's the difference, you are wondering? Pretty much just the name. And Japan will be getting help in this endeavor from the British company that built the Royal Navy's 2 new Queen Elizabeth-class aircraft carriers. They will be teaming up to enhance 2 Izumo-class helicopter carriers so that they will be able to support F-35B Lightning II stealth fighters. The Japanese Defense Minister Takeshi Iwaya rather ominously stated, "Since we are equipped with such vessels, it is desirable that we will use them for various purposes." Tokyo is intending to order another 100 F-35s in order to supplement the 42 stealth fighters it already has. While we don't quite know what Japan is up to or use these destroyers for, it sounds big. On the subject of the UK, India currently has only 2 carriers, but their search for a third has made waves in the United Kingdom when it was formally announced that India's Navy officials had visited Scotland's Rosyth dockyard, the very dockyard where the Royal Navy's HMS Queen Elizabeth carrier was constructed. If reports are to be believed, it is because they are interested in Britain building the INS Vishal, their hypothetical third carrier. The question is, why is India interested in British carrier designs? The prominent theory is that India's previous experience with a British-designed carrier called the INS Virat could have led to them having a preference for UK design. The Virat served the Indian Navy for more than 3 decades, which is pretty good service, but wound up decommissioned, which is aircraft carrier language for taken out back and shot. Back in 2017, it was replaced by a Russian carrier, the INS Vikramaditya, but sadly, Vikramaditya served India far worse than the Virat. Its boilers and power plants have proven to be lethally unstable. In its few years of service, boiler fires aboard the Vikramaditya have robbed 3 officers of their lives and injured many more. Yikes! If there is one thing you don't want to break, it's an aircraft carrier. So, it's only natural that India might be reaching out to Britain in the hope of a new carrier that is as reliable as the Virat. When it comes to planes, the Vikramaditya is designed to operate MiG-29Ks, which are a Navy twist on the MiG-29. But the problems with the carriers seem to be leading to the purchase of a new model. What the Vikramaditya and the HMS Queen Elizabeth have in common is that they are what is known as ski jump carriers. This type of model utilizes a ramp at the end of its runway to loft aircraft into flight. But most modern Western naval fighters are different, using a catapult system to launch them from the flight deck. This allows them to carry more upon takeoff. Yet another reason why India may be looking to ditch their flammable Russian build for something new. catapult also just sounds cooler than ski jump. Regardless of whether they do get their third carrier built in Britain, India has made it clear that whoever creates the carrier, they want it to have the catapult system, and poor Russia is being left in the dust. But we simply cannot discuss future advancements without touching upon the growing superpower that is China. The People's Liberation Army Navy, known more affectionately as the Plan, is the naval warfare division of the People's Liberation Army, which is the Communist Party of China's armed wing. And they are eagerly looking ahead at possible developments for the next generation of carrier aircraft. The Plan's plan, which is a fun thing to say, is to build a new aircraft that is a carrier-based remix of the fifth-generation fighters such as the J-31 FC-31 and the Chengdu J-20. There are also thoughts that they might not be able to go straight to this plan, and China may need an interim solution, a stepping stone of sorts. If they go this route, the stepping stone carrier is what they are calling the J-17, an improved twist on the J-15, which is loosely comparable to the FA-18EF Super Hornet and the EA-18G Growler, and is modernizing faster than Wally West can run. In the past decade alone, Chinese shipbuilders have constructed more than 100 ships, a build rate that drastically outstrips what the US Navy is capable of. At present, China has 2 aircraft carriers with a third and fourth under construction. The interesting thing about this is that for most of its modern history, China has been the target of aircraft carriers rather than the owner of them. For example, Japan's Imperial Navy carriers conducted a series of devastating strikes in the Chinese mainland in the 1930s. Then, the US Navy protected Chinese forces near the end of the Chinese Civil War, and the US Navy carriers unleashed airstrikes on Chinese volunteers during the Korean War. And then in 1996, the United States deployed a carrier battle group near Taiwan during the Third Taiwan Crisis as a show of support against Chinese military action. Plan's sudden obsession with building their own carriers could almost be seen as something of a grandiose overcompensation for the suffering they've had to face being on the receiving end of them. The first of Plan's 2 carriers is the Liaoning, which serves solely as a training carrier, establishing techniques and procedures for Chinese sailors in naval aviation, the most dangerous aspect of naval warfare. The second, currently known as Type 002, looks like Liaoning, but comes with a few handfuls of improvements. Notable, an active electronically scanned array radar and a far larger flight deck. The feeling is that Type 002 will carry more fighters than Liaoning, up to 30 in total. While Type 002 will be China's first combat-capable carrier, its lack of catapult system means it's sacrificing striking power and range in order to be able to even take off from the flight deck. And people like catapults. The third, one of 2 under construction, being built at Jiangnan Shipyard at Shanghai, with the other under construction at Dalian, is presently known rather predictably as Type 003. Upon completion, it will be the first Chinese carrier constructed via a more modern construction method, assembling together modules like colossal Lego bricks. These modules, called superlifts, weigh hundreds of tons each and are pieced together on land before being hoisted onto the ship in a dry dock. This is the building method presently utilized by American and British warships. Little beyond that is known about the Type 003, though it is thought that it will go for that much-loved catapult-launched method, enabling it to be more effective as a power projection platform. Plan has conducted an excessive number of test launches, possibly thousands, making it clear they mean business. And of course, the United States of America is getting in on the action. Given how serious China is getting, how could the United States sit idly by? They are currently constructing the Gerald R. Ford class, an aircraft carrier built to replace the USS Enterprise CVN-65, named for Gene Roddenberry's infamous creation. These new vessels have a hull that is similar to the old carriers, but introduces new technology, such as electromagnetic aircraft launch systems and efficiency-improving design features. But changes to the flight deck are the most visible difference between this new design and what America has previously been using. Many sections of the flight deck have been altered in order to improve everything from storage to aircraft handling. Previous American carriers also can't launch fully loaded aircraft because of a deficiency of wing clearance along the edge of the flight deck, a problem that this new design avoids. The new Bechtel A1B reactors for the Gerald R. Ford class are smaller and, in turn, simpler than those previously used, making the Gerald R. Ford class both more powerful than present designs and capable of functioning with a smaller crew. The Dream Combo. The current engines and propulsion systems were designed in the 1960s when onboard technologies required far less electrical power. But they are simply not good enough for where the future of American carriers is headed. The Gerald R. Ford class ships can convert steam into power by piping it into 4 major generators in order to generate electricity for both major ship systems as well as new electromagnetic catapults. These steam-powered catapults are more efficient, lighter, smaller, and more powerful than other designs. The thing that's capturing people's imaginations about this new design is the technological breakthroughs in both launching and recovering aircraft. But what is arguably more impressive is the mechanical advancements buried deep within the ship. For example, the elevator system used to carry bombs and other aircraft-loaded equipment such as missiles from the bowels to the higher decks have been completely reworked, and it can handle significantly more weight safety. A major accomplishment. With this new system, the elevators can carry twice as much weight, enabling them to cover the distance in about a third of the time. In a wartime situation, such a time saver could be hugely vital. Which country do you think has the best shot of making the best future carrier? Let us know in the comments. And if you liked the video, then don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you'll be the first to know when a new video arrives. Thanks for watching.